Recording.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Inner Indie Era, where we talk all things indie publishing and indie authoring. I'm Megan Michelle, author of the award-winning The Seal Saga series with my two books, Skylark and Born in Blood. And I'm here together with my business bestie, also Megan.
Hey everyone, I'm Megan Medlock. I am a wealth energetics and energy coach, and I am here for moral support.
She's here to keep me on track and ask questions when I say, wait, what was the topic? So, in discussing this episode and the topic for this episode, she said, oh dear, you're going to go on a 15-minute soliloquy and I have nothing to contribute. But I'm convinced that's not the case. So, what are we talking about today? Diagnostics. Now,
We are
um,
diagnosing, not just diagnostics,
formerly in
diagnosing, we're diagnosing why your book sells,
diagnostics.
why your book sells maybe not where you want them
Well, I
to
was getting
be.
there.
You were just like
Yes, I
diagnostics.
was getting
So,
there.
number one.
So, as a former therapist, diagnostics is important because you need to know what you're dealing with, what the symptoms are, what the problem is, what the root cause is, so we can treat the problem. So, I've had a lot of authors ask me uh, after, their book is published, they'll all say, "Well, Megan, your books are selling a lot. Can you look at mine and tell me why my books aren't selling?" And this is what I mean by diagnostics. Why are your books not selling? That could be for a lot of reasons. Um, and again, before starting pushing the record button, I promise to be as tactful and diplomatic as possible. So if I come off as a little bit mean, I just get frustrated sometimes with this aspect of the book world because one, asking someone else to just do a bunch of labor for you for free is a little bit questionable if you don't already have a relationship with them and it's not like mutual mutual back and forth. Um, but and that's what irritates me is when people are like, "Well, read my book and tell me why it's not selling." Like, I don't have that much free time. I'm sorry. Love you guys. So, but the main reasons why books don't sell. First of all, don't judge a book by its cover. Excuse me, but we all do. So, it could just be that your cover art is not appealing. It could
Or
be
maybe the cover art has nothing to do with
that
what the book
you
actually, like the genre that the book is.
with the book is actually about, because
Yeah.
I've come across that about, yeah. The
Yeah.
cover could just not be pulling people in. Um, it could be marketing. It could be a lack of visibility. I mean, do people even know you wrote a book? Do people know your book exists? I'm just doing broad strokes real quick and then we'll deep dive.
Hmm.
It could be that, you release this book, people know about it, they've read it, and then they left some really bad reviews. Now, as an author, a reader, a bookstore owner, I think reviews have a lot of different purposes. And me, myself, if I'm checking your reviews and I see 10 grammatical errors or spelling mistakes on page one, okay, we all have typos. Some can be forgiven. But when there's that many on page one, that's a do not finish for a lot of people. When it's plot holes, this book was really slow. There's problems with pacing. Um, couldn't connect with the main character. That's that's the kind of reviews that makes other people not read your book. It's not a bad review in the writing was good, it was fine, but not for me. Bad review, because then it might be for someone else. Um, but when it's massive plot holes, I'm not reading that book. And a lot of people won't either. Uh, and then your pitch. So if you're doing a bunch of events and people are coming up to your table and you're talking to them, but then they're not buying your book, that happens sometimes because, again, they have to talk to you to find out if your book is for them or not. But the problem could be your pitch. I mean, do you even have a pitch? Is your pitch good? What is your pitch? What is a pitch? What even is that? Um, So, okay. So, deep dive. Which one do you want to start with, Megan?
Feel like we just started getting into covers, so let's start with covers.
Okay. Covers. Covers. Because I do, and I think that chronologically, covers is w- where this all starts. So, we've all been in a store before, online or in real life, and you peruse the objects. It could be a shoe store, clothing store, bookstore, wine store. These are the types of stores I shop at. Whatever store it is, humans are visual creatures. If you're a Libra like me, you're an extra visual creature. However, we like things that are pretty. We process things through pictures. Um, and I know, we're not supposed to judge a book by its cover. We're not supposed to pick a bottle of wine based on the label, but we do. And scientifically, there's a lot of reasons behind that. I won't get into that. But if your cover isn't appealing to people or giving them a clear indication of what the book is about, they're not going to pick it up. They're not going to read the back cover text and say, do I want to read this or not? Because the cover has to be interesting, it has to be intriguing, it has to give a sense of what the book is about, what genre it is, et cetera, et cetera.
I think that there's some very clear design choices for certain genres, right? Like
Hmm.
romantasy comes to mind because there's some very clear design choices for romantasy in the market right now. And
Hmm.
like you can walk into any bookstore or any book event. But I'm in Ireland, so we have a bunch of independent bookstores. Like you can walk into any bookstore and immediately know like what's romantasy, kind of based on what the cover elements are. Some of
Yeah,
them, like, you can be a little bit more abstract with some of them. Like I picked up is it Belle Burden? Belle Burden's Strangers, which is autobiographical of a time in her life. And the cover is like two birds, like abstract art form birds, not even like a
yeah.
photo of birds. And it's like it's abstract, but it intrigued me because it was like, what,
Hmm.
it's what is this? And I picked it up and I read the blurb, so
Yeah,
there's definite decisions that be are made around book covers that can convey, like they're used to convey what you want to convey, and the whole point is like hook someone in, let them go
exactly.
like, ooh, what's that?
From the
Hmm.
very first second.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of a lot of authors do their own covers. Cool. If that's something you know how to do, you're saving yourself a bunch of money. I am not such person. I have a cover designer, and she's brilliant. So she sends me this whole questionnaire. Now we're on book three at this point, but I do the same questionnaire every single time, and it's what genre? What's your audience? Um, Put some pictures of other covers that you like and tell me what it is you like about them. Um, what's happening in the book, like what are the kind of things that you want to see on the cover, and then she makes magic. But I mean, it's everything from the image of the cover, the colors, what's actually is there a person? Is it illustrated? Is it, you know, more realistic photography, things like mine are? And
Hmm.
then, what font are you using? Because you don't want to use this cutesy, like curly Q font for a super serious book, like, but for a cute, like meet cute rom-com, absolutely. So that's your font is setting your tone. It's indicating to the reader what the tone of the book is in a lot of ways. And these are things that like our brains process and understand on a subconscious level.
Yeah.
So unless you're like really getting into it and thinking about, obviously you can look at the font and analyze the font on a conscious level, but a lot of times what we're seeing is getting processed so subconsciously that we don't even realize, oh, that font's giving sci-fi vibes.
Hmm.
We're just like, oh, that's, whatever. But I don't really read sci-fi. That's why I made that face. But if you do,
Well, I mean,
great.
I think your
That's
point
amazing.
is like
But
it signals to us like, is this for me or is this not for me? Like on such a
is it
subconscious
not?
level that we
Yeah.
we aren't even making that decision. And if, especially if you're doing events, like you have people who are coming in and probably seeing what, like 50 or 100 different book covers in
Hmm.
like a couple of hours.
Yeah. Yeah. Or if you go into a
Yeah.
bookstore, I mean,
Hmm.
you're gonna go to the thing that draws your eye and pick it up and read the back
Yeah.
cover. You
Unless
don't
you already
walk
have like
in
a
there
list
and
going
just
in.
like pick up, yeah, if you're just browsing, you
Yeah.
don't just go in and pick up books in the order that they're on the shelf and look at every single one of them and judge them equally. You go to the thing that visually draws you in
Hmm.
and grabs your attention. So if you know how to do cover art and you want to do it yourself, I know some authors that do their own covers and it's absolutely phenomenal. I know some authors who do their own covers and I say, "Oh, that's nice." But maybe they don't have the skill set entirely to the degree that they think they do. Um, I know some authors who work with, traditional publishers who have phenomenal covers. And I know some authors who work with traditional publishers and have publishing deals, and their covers aren't pulling you in and they're not great. But between them and their publisher, they went through 3 rounds of cover art, and that's all the publisher is willing to pay for. And so now this is the cover.
Hmm. Yeah. And I think it's a good idea too to like go through bookstores or Pinterest or
Hmm.
wherever, scroll, you can even scroll through a bookstore online and
Yeah.
look at what covers pull you in.
Yes.
Like go to the
And especially
section.
in a similar genre to what you're writing.
Mhm. Yeah. Like that's what I was going to say. Is like go to the section of like your genre and start looking
Hmm.
at like what's kind of the trend. And like you don't have to go on trend, but like it does make it a lot easier for people, especially if you're in something that is more of an like a book influencer space. Um,
Hmm.
it makes it easier for readers to self-identify. This potentially is for me. Like this is at least in a
Yeah.
genre that I like to read. Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
hmm Or like
Um,
I put this like badass chick on my cover. Like, okay, first female Navy SEAL. This is clearly a book about a female, like a strong woman.
mhm.
That pulls me in. I'm super excited about that. Whereas if there's like a guy on the cover and be like, oh, another guy, I don't care. I mean, I might care. I might still want to read that book. But, you know, the things that speak to me might not speak to you. But like Megan's saying, if you go in the bookstore and you activate the conscious part of your brain and really think about like what am I drawn to and why, that's going to give you an indication of what will work, especially if you're
Yeah.
looking at books. Because I think a lot of I mean, most authors that I know read cross genre. We read a lot of
Mhm.
different genres, but if you focus on books that are similar to what you're writing and what draws you into those covers and what's working for you, because if you love it, your target audience probably will too.
Yeah.
And just like maybe know your strengths. If you don't know graphic design or you don't understand the trends and the specifications of what needs to be on a cover, I would invest money in that. I think investing money in a good cover, because that's the first thing people see about your book.
Yeah. I think of it like
And my cover
dating.
was only like $500,
Mm.
which sounds like a lot of money, but like, I mean, I have really complicated art. I've got the edges, I've got, um, like you can get covers for like $200. You can and have professional cover designers do it for there's a whole varying price range. There's lots of options.
Hmm.
So rather than just throwing something together in Canva and hoping for the best, that's not what you want to do with your cover, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. I do think of it like my analogy for this is like dating, like this is your first date. So what are you wearing? You're probably going to do your hair,
It's
maybe
not
put
even
on
your
like
first
some
date, it's
makeup.
your Tinder profile
Okay, it's your Tinder
or
profile.
Hinge, whatever
I don't
app
know.
people are using.
Bumble, what I don't know what people are
Um,
using. Um, But yeah, like you're probably putting your best foot forward, or you want to put your best foot forward. You know, you're
Mhm.
probably presenting a little bit more of a polished image than like your typical, you know, maybe not, who knows? I'm
Yeah.
not like a spend an hour on my hair and makeup type
Maybe
person,
you like
obviously.
washed your hair and put mascara on that day,
Yes. Hmm.
right?
Yeah, but like, you know, you're
Um,
trying like the thing is like you're trying to present yourself in a more polished version of yourself than they're going to see
yeah.
after like 6 months. Yeah.
Yeah, this is definitely the going out on the date face and not the I just woke up face.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So
All
cover
right.
art. So
So
like
that's
you might
that's
not
the
even be
cover.
reeling people
And
in to like
then
learn. Yeah.
hmm yeah, and if they're not excited by your cover, they're not going to pick it up and then they're not going to read it. So that's problem one.
Yep.
Um, so okay, so like cool, we've got this great cover. It's intriguing, it's locking people in. And then, what do we do with it? Well, that's called marketing. So, do people know your book exists? I feel like such a hypocrite talking about marketing because this is not my strong side at all. But
Nope.
you've got to get the cover on social media. You've got to get the cover in front of people who read that genre. How to do that? Please don't ask me. I don't know. It's one of those uphill battles, in my opinion, of how do I I market this book when I feel like I'm screaming into the void and saying, read my book, read my book, read my book. But Megan, you're the expert on marketing between the two of
I
us.
am not, but maybe between the two of us, but I am not an expert
Between the
on.
two of us, you are significantly better at this than I am. By like exponentially better at this than I am.
Yeah, I mean, I think that like you have to choose a platform or two that work for you, right? And like from what I've seen in my own marketing, like TikTok is really good for exposure, but doesn't necessarily convert. Um, it
Convert to
could though.
sales,
Yeah,
you
convert to
mean?
sales. Yeah.
Okay.
So like it's good for exposure, but doesn't necessarily convert to sales. I could be wrong with the book space, but like that's what I've heard. And for
I
like
don't think
Instagram,
any of it converts to sales, but that's just my experience. But again, I'm not that great at marketing. So
and then like Instagram is almost like a storefront, like treat it like people treat it as a storefront in a way. Like they'll look at one of your posts and then they'll look at like many of your posts. So people tend to be turned off if every single one of your posts is buy this, buy that, buy this, purchase this. So like Instagram's more of like a trust building platform. So it's like showing more of like your creative process, like work in process, your life, like who you are, your interests, like that sort of thing. And I just did a really great social media course through with her name's Xanthi Appleyard. It's called Life of the Party. I'll put a link in the show notes actually for it. But she runs it live a couple times a year, and like her method is really just like weaving yourself into your business, and like your book is your business, and so it helps you define like content pillars or themes, lanes, kind of like what you share about, and then helps you break down ideas into like three different posts, like value posts and personal experience posts and like thought leadership posts. And so like all of that is to like drum up different types of engagement and different types of like um, trust building because people buy for trust. And if you're writing a book and you haven't published yet, like this is the time where you get to like show the dirty work, like behind the scenes and like bring your audience along, and that builds trust in like the waiting list period, so that when the book is ready, they're already warmed up to you and they're already like buying into it. They're not just you're not just sitting there and being like, here's my book. And they're like, who
yeah.
are you? Like, what?
So
Yeah.
some examples of this would be a value post would be like, I wrote this great book, it's gonna make you laugh and cry. Or like, here's a book about a strong female. lead, like if you're into that. Very cool. Here's a book that you will enjoy for these reasons. A personal experience post would be like, hey, I did this book signing yesterday. This is how it went. Or I read this book. This is what I thought. Or behind the scenes with the author. This is what I'm working on. Um, and then thought leader would be like, hey, you guys, if you're doing a big event, sprayed edges get people to your table. Here's how you do
Yeah.
sprayed edges. So
Yeah.
look at me. I explain social media.
I mean, yeah, and like that's some good examples. I'd
Gross.
say if you're not trying to teach people how, like if you're not trying to teach other authors like how to do their thing, thought
Mhm.
leadership could be like, uh, I wrote this book because I saw a gap in the market that, for this reason, and no one was filling it, or like
Mhm.
the problem with romanticy nowadays is X, Y, and Z, and here's why my book is going to
Yeah.
solve that. Yeah, and
Yeah,
it's
or
it's like I
even,
don't want to say like hot takes, but it's like it's having an opinion and
yeah,
like being able to share that opinion as a differentiator
but
between
also
you and
but also
like
back
everyone
it
else.
up. But also back up your opinion and not, I mean, I think as a thought leader. But it can also be things of like why your education or personal, well, that's personal, but your education or expertise on something
Hmm.
got you to write a book. Like I could say, my book models PTSD in a realistic, non-cliche way and models how one could deal with that in a
Yeah,
healthy and unhealthy manner. Um,
yeah. I think your social media post for that would be um, like authors get trauma wrong, like authors get PTSD wrong in books all of the time um as a PhD in psychology, like this is how I'm approaching PTSD in my books differently.
mhm. Yeah,
Hmm. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
So, okay. But I mean,
yeah.
that's marketing. So
Yeah. I mean,
we've
it's
got to
just
get your
basically
books
like
in front of.
becoming friends with an audience and like
Mhm.
that it can be uncomfortable at first because, it's the internet. Like anyone out there, like everyone's out in the world, like anyone can see your posts. Like, and there is a issue with, like what if your friends and family see it? And like what if your friends and family see it and they don't engage with it? Like, and if you have friends and
Or they,
family that are like doing things, just like it's free to hit the like button and it is free to drop a comment. And it goes so
yes,
far. There's an
it really
epidemic of
does.
like silent supporters, which like, are you really supporting if you're silent? Um,
Right.
but it's creating a little community and it's just showing people who you are as a person and like creating that trust and creating that community so that when you are like, I wrote this book and this is what it's about, they know you, they're familiar with you, they feel comfortable with you. And
Hmm.
I think that people overthink social media when it really just it's flirting is what it is.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a bit of
Yes.
flirting. Yeah.
It is.
And if you don't know how to
It is.
flirt, then just think of it as like, I don't know, what's a good analogy here? Think of it as just like informing, you're teaching people about you.
You're teaching people about yourself. Yeah. Highlighting the
Yeah,
best aspects of yourself in your book.
yeah. And not the perfect aspects because you know what? Like that
The
shit's not
best
going to sell
aspects,
either.
your favorite
Your
aspects.
favorite aspects. And if
Like I
you're,
love
oh,
that my main character is completely unhinged.
mhm,
She's not a perfect person. She's a hot mess.
yeah. Whereas when I
And
was
that's
beta reading
fun.
your first book, I texted you and I said, I don't like your main character.
We fixed that. We fixed that. She's calmed down significantly, as have I. I had to get out my feelings, okay?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's marketing.
But there's like a
So
whole
then,
bunch of like, I mean, you can also outsource it to someone who is like an author's assistant to do it for you
which is
if
what
you
I
have the
do.
funds and the means. Hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hmm.
So, but that's marketing in a nutshell. That's why it's important. So then you get your book out there. People understand that it exists. They know you've written this book. They've picked it up. They've read it. And now they're leaving reviews. Goodreads, Amazon, wherever they're leaving reviews. And this is something that, like I said in the beginning, you know, bad reviews aren't always bad because sometimes it's just someone saying this wasn't for me, and that helps other readers understand that it is for them. Um, but if your reviews are talking about plot holes, pacing problems, horrible grammar, horrible sentence structure, and it's very clear that you didn't use an editor, those are the kind of reviews that are really hard to come back from. Um, and I had an
Yeah.
author ask me once. I barely knew this person. I actually didn't know this person. Their partner had bought my book at an event, and then this author reached out to me and was like, "Oh, you're successful. Can you read my book and tell me why it's not selling?" I was like, "I don't even know you." But out of curiosity, I looked up the book, read some of the Amazon reviews, and was like, "Oh, oh, well, that's makes things obvious." No, I didn't respond. I just said like, "Look, I can't. I'm starting this like coaching business. If you want me to coach you, like I'm happy to do that, but I don't have the capacity to do this, to read your book and help you with a whole new strategy for free. I don't have the bandwidth for that." So, they never got back to me, but I mean, it was basically there were so many plot holes. There was such bad sentence structure, just things that I was like, yeah, as a reader, if I saw this in a review, I wouldn't bother paying money for this book either.
Hmm.
Because to me, the reviews were saying that this author didn't bother to use an editor. They didn't bother to have
Yeah.
beta readers. They didn't bother to have anyone give them any real constructive feedback on the book. And as much as we as authors all love our own writing and our own characters, and you know, we all got good grades in English class and know how to write or whatever, you have to have second, third, fifth eyes on your
Yeah.
book, baby. You have to have a professional look at that and tell you, you need to move this chapter here, you need more world building there. I don't have any idea what this character is actually thinking in this scene. Um, there's people who train to be an editor, and that's 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 um sentence structure and understand storytelling and in a completely different way than those of us who aren't trained editors.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I've
I mean,
learned a ton from my editor about these things so that I become a better writer, so that when I send her new projects, she has less work to do, but it still is, she's the expert on storycraft, not me. I'm just putting my imagination on the page. She's cultivating it and curating it into a compelling story that has good pacing, that has the plot points in the correct order, that has that build up to the midpoint, and then a little bit of resolution, and then another build up to that climax, and then resolution for the ending. That I'm like, well, these are the things that happen. And she's like, make me feel it, this is where you need to add more tension. This is where you need to add more world building. And as a writer, I don't care what you're writing, because I did this in academia. You get blind to what's on the page. You
mhm.
start reading what you've written, and your brain is reading what it's supposed to say, what it thinks it says, and it's not actually reading what's on the page and picking up the typos or the half broken off sentence, or remembering that it will even tell you that paragraphs are in a different order because that's you've already read it 100 times and that's the order they were in, and then you moved it and you're like, wait, what? Where did that go? Why is this over here? That's why you need fresh eyes from beta readers and an editor.
Yeah.
Because those types of reviews are really hard to come back from.
They're not impossible to come back from because you could always republish, but that
Well,
you
hang on.
could.
We'll get there. You could.
Mm.
We'll get to republishing. The
Yeah, but I
thing
mean,
with these
before you
types
move
of
on
bad
though,
reviews. I'm not moving on. I'm still talking about the same thing. I'm
I
still
know, but
talking about
I
reviews.
have some points that I want to say with what you've been saying
Can
for the
I say
last.
one? I need to say
Okay.
one more thing, and
Okay.
then we'll get to your points. So these types of reviews are really hard to come back from, not just to get people to read this book that the reviews are about, but that is your brand, that is your identity and reputation as an author. If you have reviews on any of your books saying you have plot holes and bad pacing and bad sentence structure and bad grammar, people are going to extrapolate that to any other book you write because they're going to associate that level of writing with you.
Hmm.
Now you can go. Now I'm done republishing.
I wasn't going to talk about republishing. I was actually going to
Oh,
riff off of what you were saying. Um, but now I've lost the points in my head. So I don't know. They'll come back.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. They'll come back. Um, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
but that does bring us, yeah,
um, don't publish your first draft.
obviously.
Well, I don't think it's
Is
that
that not
obvious,
obvious?
though. No, I don't think it's that obvious. I think that people write and they go, "Oh
Okay.
my God, I wrote a book." They finish their first draft they wrote and they go, "Oh my God, I wrote a book." And then they try to get out in the world as fast as possible.
Don't do that. That's,
I think
mm-mm.
that's why the market is flooded, absolutely flooded with indie authors, is because anyone can upload anything to Amazon and sell it
And call it a book.
and call it a book. I mean, AI slop aside, like anyone can publish anything. Like my mom's published on Amazon 3 books that she's been writing at least my entire life, maybe longer.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I don't think she ever worked with an editor ever. She did it for herself. She's doing no marketing for
Mm-hmm.
them at all. Um, she says she gets a check from Amazon for like $15 like every quarter. So she's selling them. I have no idea what the reviews are, but she also spent like 30
She's selling
years.
kind of a lot if she's getting 15 bucks.
Yeah, she's only doing like
Yeah.
like Kindle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um yeah, but like she spent like 30 years refining them, like refining the stories.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I mean, she also like she reads a lot. She has the creative mind, blah 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 blah. So like I think there is a way that you can self-publish with maybe light editing, like putting light money into editing. Like if you have a master's of fine art in literature, you probably know how to do a fucking compelling story. But you need someone to read
Yeah.
it to be like, is this what you really meant to say here? You know? um,
Yeah. Or, hey, what
yeah,
happened to this plot thread over there?
yeah.
You know, you
And I
just
don't,
need someone else.
and you need beta readers who will actually tell you things instead of being like, oh my
Hmm.
God, that was great. When's it coming out? And it's like, that was great is actually not positive
Not helpful
feedback.
to me. Not helpful to
No,
me.
it's not helpful feedback at
Glad you
all.
loved it, but
Mhm.
how do I make it even better?
Yeah, and I think that friends and family will often give you that type of feedback. Oh my God, it's so great. People are going to love this because they don't want to sit there and tell
What
you
friends and family are these? Because mine don't do that.
friends and family that aren't Scorpios. Um,
I know.
but like I think a lot of people do it because they don't want conflict. They don't know how to handle conflict. They don't know, perceived conflict. They don't want to be mean or what they perceive as being mean. And like
Yeah.
it's not constructive. So then you have to pay someone
Yeah.
to be constructive to you. Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
And that's super, super important to get that feedback before you
Yeah.
press the publish button. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, like if you've published and you have like one bad review, if it's like you've sold like 20 copies, maybe you have like one bad review. Like you, is there a way to come back from that?
It
Because it's
depends on
so
what is in the
loosely,
bad review.
yeah.
It really does. And I mean, maybe there's books that I've read that have a million plot holes, And the reviews say they have plot holes, but then there's also people leaving 5-star reviews saying this book changed my life. It was phenomenal. I related to this character so well. So there's,
Yeah.
you know, there's a
It's like
spectrum. There's always there's
the energy
it's
that
not a
I'm
black
getting
and
right
white. It's
now
not a
is,
rule.
yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm trying to like, I don't want to down people's dreams. And the energy that I'm
No.
getting right now is very like, if you have a bunch of bad reviews about your like your book structure, you're never gonna you're never gonna return from that. And it's like there has to be a way to like,
There's ways. There's
yeah.
you can republish, you can relaunch, you can revamp the whole thing. But what I'm going to say about that is you're paying for everything twice. This ends up
Mm,
costing you so much more money than just doing it well the first time around. So just get the beta readers, get the editors, get the, make sure your cover's nice. The first time around, instead of pushing publish too early, because if you push publish too early and you end up in this situation, like I said, like that's your author reputation. It's not
hmm
impossible to come back from, but it's hard to come back from. Um, and because then you're going in and you are getting beta readers and you are getting an editor and maybe you're redoing your cover. Most of the time when authors republish a book, they redo the cover, especially if it is a negative review situation. You don't want that visual imagery, you want to change the imagery because
hmm
it changes in people's brains what it is. This is a brand new book. Um, I know authors who have left their publisher and republished with, bonus chapters or completely changed the plot
mm,
because they finally got to do it their way because what their, you know, um, publisher was telling them was you can only do it this way because that's what sells and that's what's on trend. And they're like, but that's not the authenticity of my story that I'm writing, so they can leave their publisher and completely change the story.
hmm
Depending on your copyright and your contract and all of that, if that's what you're doing, please read your contract very carefully and perhaps consult a lawyer before you do any republishing of something that was published under a publisher. So, tangent. But if you are indie and you're self-publishing and you publish and then it's not selling and you want to republish, you can absolutely do that. And
hmm
sometimes it works. And sometimes just changing the cover, sometimes just changing the title, sometimes just relaunching and redoing your launch strategy and saying, hey, we're re-releasing this. I added a bonus chapter. I cleaned up the typos, whatever. Sometimes that's enough.
Yeah.
Not always, but sometimes it is. Um, but like I said, I think it's easier to do all of that the first time around instead of redoing it. Because then you're kind
Yeah.
of climbing out of a hole instead of just starting with your feet on the ground.
Yeah. I think that's a good point, but like we're talking here about like diagnosing why your book's not selling. So like it's already out in the
Yeah,
world. Yeah.
it's already out in the world. So how do you fix it? And that really depends on why it's not selling. And that's why we've got these cover marketing reviews, republish, pitch. We haven't talked about pitch yet.
Yeah.
So pitch, your pitch. This, I think of pitch in terms of events, but your pitch is also, it's kind of like your social media hook. It's your 30-second elevator pitch of what is my book about, because that's going to tell a reader immediately if it's for them or not, potentially.
Yeah. And this is really
It's going to
helpful
lock
if
them
you're
in.
like at an event, right?
Really
Like,
helpful if you're at an
hmm
event, but it's also going to permeate all your other marketing.
mm,
Right? So when I first started out, people are like, "What's your book about?" And I'm like, "Well, there's this girl, Rachel, and she joins the military and she does all this stuff and she does this other thing. And then there's this guy." That's not a pitch. That's me outlining the entire story for you.
And you were like, I don't know if this is military romance or if it's romance or if
Don't know
it's
what it
military
is.
fiction.
I
Yeah.
still don't know what genre my books are. It depends. It depends on the day. It depends on who I'm talking to. But the my pitch, after a bit of time and figuring out like no one's gonna stand at my table and listen to me tell them all about the book for 10 minutes. And also spoilers, like they don't need to know all the plot points. They need to know it's about the first female Navy SEAL. She's trying to who's also her second in command. That's what they need to know. That's what they're interested in. And they're like, dismantle the patriarchy. Absolutely. Woman in a leadership role, woman in the military. Absolutely. We love women in male-dominated fields. Oh, there's a romance aspect. Absolutely. Tell me more about that. And that's what gets people in. So, especially when you're at an event and you're face to face with people and they come up to your table, they're not going to stand there for 10 minutes and talk to you
No.
unless they're interested in your, I mean, some people do, some people do. But for the most part, people are going around to the different tables, especially if there's like multiple authors or you're doing a book signing in the store, they'll come and be like, "Oh, what's your book about?" You give them your 30-second pitch, and then they either hand you their credit card or they start asking you more questions to
Hmm.
find out, is this the book for me? So, some things that people ask me, is it dark romance and is it dark in what way? Because trigger warnings. Is it open door, closed door? How explicit is it? And these are all things that readers want to know before they buy, potentially, because they're not going to spend money on a book that's not for them if you're standing there and they can ask you questions about it, right?
Hmm.
Um, so your pitch is super important to pull people in, and then you can also use that to target your social media marketing and your other marketing, because now you've got this cohesive hook, also known as your pitch,
Hmm.
that your sales pitch is
Yeah.
your literal sales pitch. So, and I know a lot of authors, I've met them at events and I go up to them beforehand and say, "What's your book about?" And they're like, I don't know. And then they're like, there's this person named this, and this is how you spell their name. And their name is from, they go on how they came up with the person's name and then explain their whole world, especially if it's fantasy. I get the whole entire long rundown of the world and how they built it and why this works that way. And the magic is like this. And I'm like, but what's it about? And this goes back to, okay, like English class flashbacks of what's the theme of the book?
Hmm.
Ick. But what's the theme of the book? What is it actually about? So, because my story, yeah, so Rachel Riker goes all over the Middle East and she's in combat and she's doing all these like military missions. But the theme of the book is liberating women from global subjugation, herself included, because she's confined by the patriarchal, hierarchy of the military. She's confined by her nuclear family structure. She's confined by the rules of society. And she's trying to find a way, by liberating all of these women in all these other countries, she's also learning more about herself and growing as a person and learning, how to operate within the confines of the society and structure that she's in
Hmm.
without losing her mind, essentially. So, what's it about? It's about dismantling the patriarchy and liberating women from global subjugation. That's what my book is about. So, well, there's a short story that I'm working on. Um, and that's, it's like a second chance romance trying to save the marriage situation. And like the theme of that is like, don't take your spouse for granted. Like, how do we value autonomy and partnership, and how do we like prioritize work versus family? What is
Hmm.
family? What is family? Is your SEAL team your family, or is your wife and child your family? Like, and which comes first and why? So, yeah, work-life balance is the theme there,
Hmm.
potentially. I don't know. I haven't fully written it yet. But things like that, and that's things that um readers are going to resonate with. And they're gonna be like, oh, that sounds cool. Oh, I want to
Yeah.
read about that because I can relate to it. Or because I absolutely can't relate to it and I need a distraction from my real life. And that's why I'm
Hmm.
reading. So it goes both ways.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
A pitch.
We'll do another episode on how to craft a pitch and I'll write out a guide on how to craft a pitch and if you want to do any coaching on how to work on your pitch, I am available for that. You can find author coaching services on my website or just DM me and ask me and we can do that
Yep.
because your pitch is important.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're also like, I think it's really important that it's done in only a couple of sentences, right? Like it's like really
Hmm.
honed in because people have really short attention spans and
Correct.
they need like it's like almost like the social mediaization. It's like they need the hook, right? They need to like they need
Hmm.
something that they can be like, "Oh, I want more of
Yeah.
this." Like they just
Yeah.
need something to keep them present. And if you're wandering off on a tangent about and I will say like you can totally go into the depths of your world building if they've asked you questions
After
about it.
someone asks you about it, not
Yeah, if
as
they've
your
asked you about it.
first, what's your book about?
Yeah, or if they're like, oh, that's an unusual name for your character. How do you spell that? Or like, what's the origin of that? Like,
How,
have
yeah.
them come to you with the questions because some people
Hmm.
will be really interested that like your romantasy has like Greek Norse origins or whatever. Like they're gonna be like
Yeah.
really like dig like how you built the magic as being um linked to I don't know, iron. I was thinking of Mistborn there for a second, but like it
Yes.
just like people are really gonna dig that type of stuff if they get a feel at the like higher level of like, oh, this is something that I like, or this contains things that I usually like to read, or like this seems
Hmm.
interesting, or the question that you're trying to answer with your book, or that you're exploring with your book intrigues me, and
Yeah.
like, yeah, and I think that that is
Hmm.
you have to kind of, I mean, it sucks that we have short attention spans, but you have to cater to your audience. And if you're in an event and there's, 50 other tables, like how do you stand out?
Well, it's catering to your audience, but it's also protecting your own time and energy because
Yeah.
why are you going to stand there and talk to somebody about your book for 10 minutes when that reader, that potential customer would have known
Hmm.
in the first 10 seconds that the book wasn't for them. And
Yeah.
you're just standing there going blah, 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 blah. And then 10 minutes later, they're like, yeah, this isn't for me.
Hmm.
You've just spent 10 minutes talking to that person that you could have been talking to someone else.
Yeah.
Because at a lot of events, if there's already someone at your table, other people wait for them to leave before coming over.
Hmm.
I don't know why, but humans. Not always. Sometimes they just like all like come. There's a bunch of people, but a lot of times it's like they'll someone will hang back and wait for that person to leave. So if you're talking to them for 10 minutes
Well, they don't
before
want
you
to
find out they're
interrupt.
not your customer, they don't want to interrupt, right? And then, but then that next person just waited 10 minutes. Maybe they get bored waiting. Maybe that was absolutely your perfect customer.
Hmm.
So you want to protect your own time, your own energy, especially when you are doing these events, because like you can't just like run to the bathroom. Like your mouth's getting dry from all the talking. You need to drink water. Then you have to pee. You got to talk to the person next to you. Be like, can you watch my stuff? Like, oh no. And then you're panicked the whole time that like the one person who's going to buy your book is going by your table in the 30 seconds you're in the bathroom. These are real thoughts that I've had. Um, real things that happen at book events. Like I've been like having to pee for like 2 hours or longer. And it's like, I'm going to just not eat or drink because then I don't have to go to the bathroom. But this is really unhealthy. And now I'm exhausted and my mouth is dry and I'm talking too much. And, yeah, chaos ensues. So be healthy, protect your time, your energy. Like, don't waste your voice on people who don't want to hear it.
Yeah. And it's scary to put yourself out there. It's scary to put your book out there and potentially have someone say no. And like just know that like
Hmm.
no's are never about you. They're never about you
Yeah.
as a person. Like it's just like maybe you prefer
Yeah.
tea over coffee. Like who cares? I'm not offended
That's
if
fair.
someone wants tea. I like a
Mm-mm.
cappuccino in the morning. If someone was like, I'd actually prefer
Yeah.
tea. Oh no, how dare you? Like, how dare you insult me by having tea? Like, no, I don't care. Have tea. Like,
Yeah. Well, and also you'd
I don't
rather
read
them
military
know.
I don't read military romance. Like that's not my genre. But like
Yes,
you're not gonna sit
you
there and be offended. I
do.
mean, I read your book, but like I don't read that as a genre. I
Best beta
don't.
reader ever. You absolutely do read it. No, no, not as the first thing that you would choose. But also
No.
like you want to
And
do
I
your
but I
pitch and
told
you
you
want to
that
know
as
if
a
that
beta
person's
reader.
actually going to
Like I
like your
told you
book
that. I
before
was
you
like,
send
this
your
isn't
book
my
home with
genre.
them. I know you did. I know. I know. Um, but you want to know like your pitch can help you find your ideal readers. And if they say no, this isn't for me, that's them not buying your book is so much better than them leaving you a bad review,
Yeah. Yeah. Or, I mean,
honestly.
them buying your book and it ends up on their shelf and they never touch it after the first like couple of pages, which, okay, great. You
Yeah.
have your sell. I mean, but did you write a book so that no one would read it? Like, no,
So
you wrote a
that
book
it could
because you wanted
grace
to
people's houses with their presence.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
you wrote a book. Like, I can't tell you the amount of did not like do like to read or are not going to read that are on my shelf behind me. I'm beginning to like pick them off. But there's so many that I got like a chapter in. And I was like, oh, why did I pick this up?
Hmm.
And it's because it wasn't represented well. There wasn't enough
Yeah.
information on like the cover or like, if I talked to the author or whatever, like for me to actually like make a really good decision about it for myself. And it has nothing to do with the author,
Yeah.
like has nothing to do with their story or anything like that. It's just not something that it's not for me. It's like chocolate versus vanilla or whatever. Like it's just a taste. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you gotta put the little sign up that says, "Are you like is your book strawberry or is it fucking pina colada?"
Maybe it's a strawberry pina colada. That sounds delicious.
I mean, maybe you have elements of strawberry and pina colada in your book, and they go, interesting. I'm gonna pour some tagine on that."
Interesting.
Yeah,
Maybe. That sounds
yeah,
delightful, actually.
yeah,
So
hmm or tahine. I don't know how to pronounce it, but whatever. I have a
I
big
think
bottle of it
it's
in my.
tahine.
It might be
I don't
tahine.
know.
Yeah, I bought a
It's
giant bottle in Mexico
delicious,
City. It's come home with me.
is what it is.
Yes.
Yeah. It's
hmm
delicious on the rim of a margarita. Um,
And also on
anyways,
mango.
yeah.
Yes,
Well, I like
but
mango margaritas. And I really like spicy mango margaritas. So,
well, there you go. Cool.
yeah.
Um,
Anyways,
yes. So, uh,
diagnostics.
yes, diagnostics. I think all this is to say is that like if you've published your book and it's not selling, there's usually some sort of like solvable strategic reason why. And it's
Yes.
not like it's not a huge burden to like figure out what's going on and like try something new. Like it doesn't have to be
Hmm.
perfect. Like marketing doesn't have to be perfect. Like your pitch doesn't have to be perfect. But like start putting things together, start putting things out there. And you might start seeing an uptick because you're beginning to present your book in a way that will catch the attention of your audience. It'll also start to filter out the people that aren't for you, which is great because
Yeah.
then it,
And you
then it
can
helps people self-identify into who is for you.
exactly. And you can ask other authors or other people for their opinions. Just please, please already have a relationship established with that person before you ask for free labor because
I
we're all very
think that
busy.
asking someone to read your whole book and then come up with a strategic plan for you completely out of the blue and for free is
Mm,
a
it's a lot.
disrespect of their time. Um,
Hmm.
it doesn't recognize the time and effort that have to be put into it. Because like most books, how long, I mean, how many hours does it take people to read most books? Like, I don't know. 10
I'm kind of a
hours?
slow reader. Yeah, I was gonna say a 200 book,
Like a
200 page book would take me about 10 hours,
I was
probably.
thinking like a 500-page book, but okay, like 10 hours.
I read really slow. Okay, I read
That's
like
fine. That's
20
fine.
pages an
But
hour.
I mean, like, I'm thinking like I'm
Um,
listening to an audiobook right now that's probably like 350 or 400 pages, and it's like a 15-hour book.
yes,
Yeah. So like that,
it's a
if you're
lot of
asking someone to
time.
read, if you're asking someone to read your book and then provide diagnosis back to you, and this is also with your beta readers too, like if you're asking someone to read your book, you have to respect the time that they're putting into that because that's a significant amount of time.
Yeah,
And if you're reading it, especially as a beta reader or to diagnose, you're reading it probably at a slower pace because you're actually in more of a
you're
critical thinking as opposed to just
analyzing it.
taking it,
Yeah,
yeah, and taking in the information.
because
So there
I've
is
I've had
respect that has
I've
to
had
happen.
I've had beta readers, not you, but I've had beta readers say, I got so into the plot, I have no comments on these chapters because I was so into the story
Mm,
that I don't
yeah.
I forgot to I forgot to have a critical eye. I'm like,
And I think I
well,
worked as a beta
that's
reader for you.
also good.
Yeah, I think I worked as a beta reader for you because it wasn't my genre. So like, it's just
Yeah.
yeah, it wasn't my genre. And I also found myself
You
on
can be,
many
yeah,
like
you
10-hour flights
yeah.
that year. So like that worked out because I
Yes.
could just take it on the
It
flights.
really did. You're like, yeah, I do have something to do. I now have something to do. Which I actually that year planned my writing around your travel schedule.
I don't have a
I was
lot
like,
of
how
10-hour
fast do I need
flights
to get
this
this done so
year.
you can read it on the plane? I know. Well,
Yeah.
I have a lot of editing to do before beta reading anyways. So,
Yeah.
yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Anything
Okay.
left on diagnostics? Have we diagnosed the diagnostic
No, I think that
thoroughly?
we've gone through kind of the main points of like why someone's book may not be selling.
Mhm.
And if it comes like if you feel weird about selling, I'm not a selling coach, but I'm a wealth energetics coach. So like it's all kind of in the same thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, so reach out to
it
me
sure
because
is.
we can talk about kind of the self-trust, the confidence, like, just all of the limiting beliefs that might be coming up that are preventing you from being like, hey, I wrote this and like, what do you think of it? Like, do you want to read it? Um,
And
yeah,
I have beta tested all of her things because every time she does a new course or a new certification, I say I volunteer as tribute.
she does. Oh no,
Is
did you
that me?
freeze?
Wow.
Oh no, you're
I
back. Okay.
probably froze. Did I freeze when I was just talking you up about how amazing you are? Is that why I froze?
You said that you volunteer as tribute and then you froze.
Okay, that makes sense. Hunger Games, yay. Um, yeah, no, and then I was saying if you want help with your diagnostics from a book standpoint, you can reach out to me and we will set up some coaching for that. So,
Yes. Amazing. Okay.
yeah,
Well, thank you everyone for joining
cool.
us today, and we will see you next week on the pod.
Yes. Love you.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.